Usually at this time Saturday morning at Los Angeles International Airport, there are hundreds of travelers coming and going. This morning there are thousands literally stranded. No flights have left or entered Los Angeles Airport since late yesterday afternoon. We're concerned with only 4 of these thousands, 4 young men who will drive up here in their private cars within a very few minutes to try to get to Detroit in time to entertain 14,000 fans waiting for them at Olympia Stadium tonight. I don't know. Nothing has stopped the Monkees so far on their rise to fame, which has been one of the fastest in the history of show business. Will 14,000 people be disappointed? We don't know yet. I'll have the report as soon as I can get some further word. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The fog is still here. Thousands of people are still here. I'm still here. The Monkees are still here. And there are other people here. What's your name?
Carol Hood.
Carol Hood, where are you from?
Torrance.
And Carol Hood from Torrance, what are you doing here?
See the Monkees, of course.
I understand from Peter that you come to see the Monkees every time that they go somewhere. Is that true?
Yeah.
In fact, you're so popular, you're invited in the VIP room to have breakfast with them. So why don't you get back to your bacon and eggs? I'll get back to the Monkees, and Peter Tork will get back to his French toast. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The Monkees and I have just finished breakfast, and it was enjoyed by all except Mike Nesmith, who had some cold sausage, but managed to eat half of one at least, and we're all nourished and ready for the flight to Detroit. When it leaves, the fog is now lifting. Some of the planes are departing, but we're stacked up at about 20th in line, but we should be out within the next hour. There's a room at the Los Angeles International Airport called the VIP room, and a bunch of elderly men are sitting around in dark suits looking very conservative, and they're important for some reason or another. And when the Monkees, dressed like the Monkees usually dress, walked in, a murmur went through to the effect, who are these guys? And then everyone sort of ignored them. But then a curious thing happened in the VIP room of LA International Airport, and that's going on before me right now. There are approximately 40 elderly, I suppose important gentlemen in dark suits standing in line to get the Monkees autographs. And as soon as I can break one of them free, I'll have them right here on Boss Radio. Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. By the time you hear this tape report, the Monkees and I will be somewhere, I imagine, above Salt Lake City or the Rocky Mountains. But before we left Los Angeles International Airport finally, I had a chance to get Davy Jones to the phone. Davy, how'd you enjoy your breakfast this morning?
Well, it was okay. I had a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich on rye toast, but I didn't eat much of it because there was a lot of people, and with the planes being tied up, we had to sit around in the restaurant waiting for some food, and it was kind of crowded. So a lot of people were coming over for autographs and things like that. You know yourself, you get bugged every 5 minutes, but it was fun.
So now you know what a Monkee has for breakfast and how little time he has to eat it. Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. By the time you hear this pre-taped report, the Monkees and I will be flying over the United States of America and eventually ending up in Detroit in front of 14,000 screaming teenagers tonight in Olympia Auditorium. But in the meantime, I have Peter Tork cornered here. Peter, you're in the VIP room now with a bunch of guys with nice conservative dark suits and thinly striped ties, and you have on red cords and orange socks, which I overheard one man say clashed. What about that?
My socks don't clash. I don't know. Not only do my socks not clash, but they don't even clash with my burgundy cords, which don't match either. I mean, that is to say, my right burgundy leg doesn't match my left burgundy leg, and neither of the socks match each other or otherwise.
The Monkees may clash, but they're a hit in the VIP room at the International Airport. Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. I'm with the Monkees in a phone booth off the VIP room at the Los Angeles International Airport, waiting for the fog to lift so we can take Flight 80 to Detroit for the concert tonight. By the time you hear this report, we'll be flying somewhere over America. I have, in the meantime, here cornered Mike Nesmith, who does not, I repeat, does not have his wool hat on today. Mike, why?
Well, for 2 reasons. One is because when I came into the VIP room, some guy grabbed it and ate it. And another reason is because I wanted to prove to everybody I was not bald.
This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. Detroit, Michigan. Michigan from 30,000 feet looks like any other Midwestern town. It could be Cleveland or Chicago or Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, but as soon as we touched down on Flight 80 from Los Angeles at Metropolitan Airport, it was for sure that Detroit, Michigan is no longer Motown, it's Monkey Town. Thousands of fans at the airport greeting the Monkees. It took, at least I counted, 8 police car escorts to get us to the Sheraton Hotel here in Detroit, where the Monkees are standing by to go on stage at the Olympia Auditorium within a matter of an hour and 13 minutes from now. I'll be there on the scene. You'll hear the sounds of the concert and the sounds of the people attending. And believe me, Los Angeles, there are lots of Monkees fans in Detroit. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The Monkees are en route from the Sheraton Hotel to the Olympia Auditorium. I preceded them here to get some kind of an idea for you of the atmosphere surrounding this biggest concert ever to hit Detroit City, Motown. There are groups on stage now performing in the first half of the show. The Monkees are the complete 1 hour and 10-minute second half of the show. There's someone here with me. What is your name?
Hi, my name is Alice Beasley.
And you're from Detroit?
Yes, I am.
And I assume you came here to see the Monkees?
Oh, I think they're just fabulous. Oh, I just love them.
I have never seen a young lady that looked so cold and so chilly in my life. How long have you been waiting here to see the Monkees?
I've been waiting 2 days.
You mean you've been standing out in this cold for 2 days?
Oh, yeah, I do it anytime. Anytime. They're just fabulous.
That's not just one opinion, ladies and gentlemen. That is what Motown is like tonight. Monkey Night in Detroit City. Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. Like all of Los Angeles, I wondered what it was like to see the Monkees on stage, and I have just come from the middle of the Olympia Auditorium in downtown Detroit City and seen what it's like. The Monkees are on stage now, and to give you some idea what it's like in Detroit, since I've never been here, here's one of the top DJs in Detroit, Bob Green from WKNR. Bob, tell us what you think about this whole situation.
Hey, Robert. Okay, well, this is the most fantastic thing we've ever seen. We have done shows here in Detroit for the Beatles, we've done shows for the Rolling Stones, and many other the tremendous groups around the world. But this is the time, I think, that is the best thing we've ever seen. The Monkees have drawn a complete sellout here, standing room only. They're all shouting. You can hear in the background right now. And it is definitely the wildest crowd, but well-behaved crowd, nonetheless, that I've ever seen. So this is a fantastic show, Robert.
The Beatles and the Stones turn everybody on. The Monkees on stage in Detroit City completely blow everybody's mind. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. Well, I found out tonight that Monkey Town is any town, USA. Everyone in Detroit City loves the Monkees. What is your name, please?
Colony.
Can I ask you your age?
My age is 57.
And what do you have there on your comic strip of the Detroit newspaper?
I have Davy Jones' autograph.
How do you feel about Davy Jones and the Monkees?
I think they're a wonderful group. They're a very nice, clean-cut bunch of boys.
Are you glad you came to the concert tonight?
Yes, I'm very glad I came and brought my children, my grandchildren, and my niece.
This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The last time I talked to you less than 1 hour ago, the Monkees and I were in Detroit, Michigan. Now we're in Cleveland, Ohio after a short but rather rough private jet ride. But we're here now, and the Monkees put on one of the greatest shows that anyone has ever seen any time in front of 15,000 screaming people who dug the Monkees like I've never seen anyone dig anybody. And what does a monkey do after a successful concert? Well, the Monkees are now out looking for something to eat and a little fun and excitement, and they're going to be going to bed soon. I'll report all the action as it happens. I'm going to try to catch up with them the minute I can get out of this hotel room, which I finally checked into, and I'll be reporting throughout the night, so you can keep it on KHJ for more details. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. I, along with 4 other young fellows called the Monkees, are at the Sheraton Hotel in Cleveland, Ohio, where it's about 23 degrees. The snow is flurrying, and the wind is whipping off Lake Erie, and we're all pretty cold because we're used to Los Angeles. But other than that, it's a pretty warm feeling because the Monkees have just played to 15,000 people in Detroit who loved them like I've never seen any group of people love any other group of people before. And one of the greatest stars of the Monkees, as you know, and the guy who knocked them out really good on stage was Mike Nesmith, who's here right now, by the way, even though it's cold without his wool hat. And I'd like to ask Mike what it feels like to be in front of 15,000 people who feel the way they must about the Monkees. Mike?
Well, it's like a real flash because, it's literally like a flash because you can't see yourself up there with all the flash bulbs going, and, of course, you can't hear yourself play because of the noise and everything. But it's a whole other thing. You just sort of knock around Los Angeles, and I drive my pickup around and carry hay, and then all of a sudden you're out on stage like that, and it's just a, I know it's like I say, it's a flash. It's a whole other thing.
This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. Detroit, Michigan, and Cleveland, Ohio are a long way from Los Angeles, California, but there are friends here, friends of the Monkees. As a matter of fact, in Detroit, there were 15,000 friends of the Monkees packed into Olympia Auditorium, and approximately 5,000 standing outside who couldn't get in, but nevertheless stayed there the whole 2 hours of the show and applauded along because the sound came right out through the roof and all over Detroit. Detroit is no longer Motown, it's Monkey Town. And one of the guys who made it all possible was one of the Monkees, Mike Nesmith, who is sitting here with me right now talking on KHJ. Mike, it must be some sort of a thrill to stand up in front of that many people and have them cheer and scream like that. How do you feel after a performance, knocking them out like you did tonight?
Well, like I say, it's really weird because you don't ever really expect that kind of a thing to happen. You just sort of you tune up and you go out there, and all of a sudden everybody seems to go crazy, and you look down and check to make sure your jacket's buttoned or something because you're sure that it's not you.
They're stars, but they're people, and I guess the people are the stars. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. It's been a hectic day, fogged in for 3 hours, Los Angeles International Airport, and a fantastic concert in Detroit, Michigan, and then a very quick but rough light jet trip to Cleveland, Ohio. Here we are in the Sheraton Hotel in Cleveland. And what will a monkey fan do to meet a monkey? And here's a man who may be able to tell us. Andrew Provenzano, night manager and chief security officer of the Sheraton Cleveland Hotel. Mr. Provenzano, what are some of the things that the children have pulled?
They have rented rooms, they've traded keys to get up in the building. Well, 2 lads went up the whole 9th flight stairs. Some tried to sneak in through the rear of the building, and we have a problem trying to keep them out of the building as much as possible. We're going to have security guard to protect the boys all the rest of the night.
Monkees are monkeys anywhere in America. Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. When you start out on a trip like this, you think to yourself, it's going to be kind of a drag. Plane connections, eating food on the go, catching sleep where you can, in and out of crowds. And there are some angles of it that you don't really look forward to. But this trip has turned out to be one of the most exciting scenes in my life. I have never seen 4 young men so completely captivate an audience as the Monkees have. And I've seen the Beatles, and I've seen the Rolling Stones, and I've seen Sonny and Cher, and I've seen them all, but I have never seen anything in my life like the Monkees. The Monkees have a magic over a crowd which stops with the screaming and then goes beyond on another level. And I saw backstage while the Monkees were going through their costume changes, a young girl faint with excitement at seeing Mickey Dolenz. And Mickey just stopped and picked the girl up and hugged her, and the girl came back to life and kissed Mickey on the cheek, and Mickey kissed her on the cheek, and it was a whole magical situation which you just don't see with the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or anyone else. They have a communication with an audience that I didn't think was ever possible. I think Los Angeles should be proud to have the Monkees as residents, and I'm sure we'll see them soon in concert, and your mind will be blown like mine is blown now. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. It's great to live in Los Angeles. I didn't really realize that as much as I do now. It's 20 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio, and the wind is blowing across Lake Erie, and to tell you the truth, it's kind of miserable. Don't tell anyone in Cleveland I told you that, but nevertheless, there's a potentially hot situation brewing right here at the Sheraton Cleveland Hotel, and here to tell us more about it, a Southern California native from San Marino, Jim Lowe, who's representing the Sheraton Cleveland tonight. Jim, tell us what's happening.
Well, to reiterate briefly where we started about a week ago, we found out that the boys were coming in here. They had a performance in Detroit tonight, and we understand that they were going to have a little trouble getting out of there because of the crowds. And we didn't know what our crowd anticipation was going to be because we kept telling the people, and I'll tell you there were lots of them that kept coming into our lobby and inquiring whether the Monkees were going to stay here or not. We told them that they would be performing in Detroit on Saturday night, which was the truth, and we kind of left them with the idea they were going to stay there because there were just so many kids that we were just afraid that this was going to get bigger than the Beatles, because they stayed here in August. And we have kids in the hotel right now who have no idea that the boys are in right now in the hotel. We just checked them in. As far as security goes, we're going to try to run at a minimum tonight so as to create no illusions to the people that are here. We don't want them to get the idea that something important is going on. Of course, once they're right now, the boys are at a local discotheque in town called Otto's Grotto, and the place has been cleared for them. The place is packed to begin with, and I have a feeling that right after this show, all the kids in the city are going to come hounding to the hotel. So we're going to try to see what we can do on this and keep them down.
Thank you, Jim. You referred to the Monkees as the boys, but boys are monkeys. They're big business in Cleveland, Ohio. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. As I've mentioned before, whether you're in Los Angeles or Detroit, Michigan, or Cleveland, Ohio, or Tulsa, or Miami, or Oxnard, or Flagstaff, Arizona, Monkees mean magic, and people do incredible things to get to see the Monkees. What is your name, young man?
Jim Polkey.
Jim, you're on the 9th floor of the Sheraton Cleveland Hotel. Do you have a room here?
No.
I know there's a fantastic security force between the 9th floor and the lobby. How did you happen to get up here without a room?
Well, I ran up the steps 9 stories, past everybody up.
May I ask you why you did that?
Just to see the greatest group in the world.
And they are?
The Monkees.
This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. I never thought that I would meet 4 young men like the Monkees, or as we call them now, the boys. I talked to the Monkees. I've been to a couple parties with the Monkees, but I didn't really know the Monkees until today, after approximately 6 hours on a plane with them, and in dressing rooms with them, and in restaurants with them. And it's incredible how 4 young men can get very hungry at 9 o'clock in the morning at Los Angeles International Airport and order their bacon, their eggs, and sausage, and waffles, and thin hot cakes, and French toast, and then maybe take a nibble of a couple of bites and spend the rest of the time cheerfully and graciously signing autographs. And that's the way it's been all day today. They spent an hour and 10 minutes on the stage. As you know, the Beatles spend tops 12, 15 minutes. The Monkees spent an hour and 10 minutes with costume changes and light shows and background screen shows and just the most fantastic in-person show I've ever seen in my life before 15,000 screaming fans at the Olympia Auditorium in Detroit. The same thing is going to happen here in Cleveland, Ohio tomorrow afternoon at 3. Right now, the boys have come back from a quick tour of the nightclubs in Cleveland, and they're sound asleep, ready for the big day tomorrow. I'll be reporting on that scene when it happens. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The snow's coming down in Cleveland, Ohio, and things are pretty chilly here. The Monkees were out late last night at all the local discotheques, and now they're still sleeping in preparation for the concert this afternoon at Public Auditorium in front of 17,000 fans. This concert has been sold out for 2 weeks, so Cleveland is already Monkey Town before they even hit stage. But things, even though the Monkees are asleep, are cooking as far as security is concerned, and I have with me now the man responsible in Cleveland for the security of the Monkees from the Cleveland Police Department, Sergeant Doverstein. Sergeant, can you tell me some of the precautions you're taking to get the Monkees to and from Public Auditorium today?
We have a traffic detail of 26 men outside the Public Auditorium. In addition, we have 56 men inside, and we will have a police escort to the airport immediately when they leave the Public Auditorium.
Is this a similar setup, Sergeant, to the precautions taken when the Beatles were in Cleveland?
It's a similar setup, except that we've gained a little more experience from the Beatles, and I think that a little more protection will be provided for these people.
They love them, but you got to protect them from them. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. This morning in Cleveland, while the Monkees slept, Cleveland was wide awake, and a great percentage of this city was trying to get in to see the Monkees, asleep or awake. And with me now is Chief Security Officer for the Sheraton Cleveland Hotel, Mr. Andrew Provenzano, who I spoke with last night. Andy, how's it been going?
Well, I have no sleep for the last 30 hours, planning the security for the boys. When they came in last night, we took good care of them. While they were out having a good time, we had a good time trying to keep the children from coming up to the rooms of the Monkees, and they've come up the elevators, up the stairs, and they've tried every trick, even seeing their sick aunt on the 9th floor. And we hope to give the boys the best protection we can.
This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The Monkees are tucked away in bed on the 9th floor of the Sheraton Cleveland Hotel, and thousands of people in Cleveland have tried to get in to see them. But it took someone from Mansfield, Ohio, which is 90 miles south of here, and as a matter of fact, the city that I was born in, some 19, give or take a few years ago, to finally make the grade. And here's a young lady who's been plotting this move for a month now. She says, what is your name?
My name is Joanne Paulson.
And Joanne, can you tell us when this plot started and how you went about executing it and how you got up to the 9th floor of the Sheraton Hotel today?
Well, we started this about a month ago when we found out they were coming to Cleveland. And we reserved a room here, but we didn't have enough money to pay for it, so we thought we'd sneak in. And we followed this man. We acted like we were his kids and that. And we went up on the escalator, and we hid in the dining room between a wall and a curtain, and then finally we took the back steps up, and then we met you.
And I managed to get the cake they had baked for the Monkees to the Monkees, and all is well in Cleveland. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The Monkees are up now, and the Monkees are making preparations to entertain 17,000 screaming fans at Public Auditorium here in Cleveland in a matter of a couple hours from right now. But what does a monkey have for breakfast to prepare for a concert? And here's the man who has just served them their breakfast from the Hotel Sheraton Cleveland, Mr. Tommy Lanham. Tommy, can you tell us what the Monkees had for breakfast or are having right now?
Orange juice, ham and eggs, hamburger steak, tuna fish sandwich.
If you want to be a monkey, you got to eat like a monkey. Tuna fish and hamburger steak for breakfast. Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. Speaking firsthand, I can tell you it is very difficult to get any clothes pressed in Cleveland, Ohio on Sunday morning. But we finally found someone who can handle that, and her name is Rosalie Jones, and she also, in addition to pressing my suit out this morning, pressed some clothes for 4 young men. We call the boys, and you know them as the Monkees. Rosalie, tell us what you pressed for them this morning.
I pressed 4 black suits, 6 striped gray trousers, 5 tan shirts, 6 blue shirts with white buttons, and marked with a pressed tape, 5 neckties. That's all.
How would you say the Monkees dress now?
Oh, very attractive, very neat, and very nice. I've never seen nothing so nice and attractive.
This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. I am standing about 20 feet off stage left at the Public Auditorium in Cleveland, Ohio, where 4 young men have just taken the stage. We call them the boys. They're the Monkees. They're on stage. They're about to do their first number, which in the show in Detroit yesterday was I'm a Believer. This crowd has been screaming and screaming for 2 hours to the other acts, which really didn't seem to make much difference. They screamed and the Monkees came on stage. The Monkees are standing there trying to quiet the crowd down. They're going to start any minute. You're hearing it right now exclusively on Boss Radio, the Monkees. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The Monkees and the Boss Jocks and lots of KHJ listeners were on that last train to Clarksville, and now the Monkees are on stage at the Public Auditorium in Cleveland, Ohio, playing and singing their hearts out. The last train to Clarksville is happening right now. You're hearing it exclusively on Boss Radio. You would not believe the sight on stage. The Monkees don't just stand up there and sing and play. They have a fantastic light show. They have a rear projection screen with some new innovations in technology never done before by any act. This is truly, ladies and gentlemen, the most fantastic act in show business. I'm seeing it. You are hearing it right here exclusively on KHJ. Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. It's hard to figure Monkee fans out. There are 10,000 of them crammed in the Public Auditorium. They've sold all the standing room here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's been that way for 3 weeks. And now these 10,000 people have had their dream come true. They're seeing and hearing the Monkees perform on stage in one of the most fantastic concerts you'll ever see. And I can hardly wait for one. But when it comes to Los Angeles, and you can all see it. Last night in Detroit, the fans only screamed when the Monkees were singing. Today, they scream only when they're not singing. When they sing and they play, the audience is quiet. They want to hear and they want to see it. They don't want any screams, and that's exactly the way it is. They're starting again. This is I'm Not Your Stepping Stone, and it's happening right before my eyes and ears and your ears on Boss Radio exclusively. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. I'm standing right off stage at the Public Auditorium in Cleveland, Ohio, watching 4 young men who are not just on stage. They're on stage performing their hearts out. I have never seen anyone. This is no Beatle concert. This is the Monkee concert, and they put on a show. 1 hour and 10 minutes. You can hear the crowd. You can hear the Monkees in the background. Everybody's moving all the time. Now Davy Jones is waving his tambourine and saying hi to the audience, and Mike Nesmith introducing the next song, which is Antic Griselda. Peter Tork is going to sing. You're hearing it all exclusively here on Boss Radio, and I'm seeing it before my eyes, and I hope soon, Los Angeles, you can see it too. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. Before the Monkees left Cleveland, we sat down and had a chat concerning the concerts in Detroit and Cleveland and what it's like to be away from Los Angeles and what differences, if any, there are between teenagers in Los Angeles and Detroit and Cleveland. And Mickey Dolenz, how do you feel about that subject?
Well, I don't think there's any difference anywhere in kids. They're just the same here as they are in L.A. You know? They just do a little bit different things than we do, or, you know, different record at the time, or maybe little bit different clothes, but it's all a same general trend, the same general feeling.
Do you feel as the kids accepted you in Cleveland, Detroit, as well as you think they do in Los Angeles?
Well, I think they're probably a lot more excited because LA is our home base, and you're never quite as exciting or as popular at your home town as you are in any distant locations, because you're always there and they know it, and they see you driving them down the street. So when we came to Detroit last night, it was really wild. It's a great town, great audience, and a great bunch of kids. And when you go anywhere out of your home base of operations, you're going to draw a lot more excitement because you're not there all the time. You know, they only have you for like 1 day. And in LA, we're there all the time, so the kids aren't as excited, I don't think.
That's how one Monkee feels about you and people like you all over America. Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. When the Monkees go on stage, they don't just go up there and do 10 songs and leave in 15 minutes. The Monkees go on stage and knock themselves out like nothing you've ever seen before for 1 hour and 10 minutes. And it would exhaust me, I know, but I wonder how the Monkees feel about it. Peter, how do you feel after 1 hour and 10 minutes on stage?
Well, I generally feel very exhilarated. We come off the stage and we're, you know, very happy and up, and we pile into the car and we zip off and we wave to the fans, and really generally feel very good. In fact, we don't even unwind or even let down until like half an hour, 45 minutes later when we get on the plane and leave. And it really feels very, very good. It's really great.
Los Angeles, you have something to look forward to when you see the Monkees in concert. This is Boss Jock Robert W. Morgan on the move with the Monkees. The Monkees are on the way back to California, leaving 30,000 screaming fans in Detroit and Cleveland wanting more. It's been a weekend of fog and fun and snow and music, and one that I'll never forget or perhaps even recover from. But I know this, the Monkees are 4 of the greatest showmen in the business and the 4 nicest guys in the world. At about 2 this afternoon, the boys started on their way from the Sheraton Hotel to the Cleveland Public Auditorium for the concert, and almost didn't make it. Hear the whole incredible story in 5 parts. The Great Monkee Escape, as told by Mike Nesmith himself, starting next hour, exclusively on Boss Radio. The Monkees are jetting back to California, but before they left, Mike Nesmith told me an incredible story. Here's the Great Monkee Escape.
Well, we were coming down the elevator, and we decided to go to the auditorium, you know, see what the setup was, and make sure that we were in tune and everything. So we're going to go back and then take it easy until intermission and, you know, blast down the hotel. And so this security guard comes up and he says, all right, everything's clear, which of course, well, anyway. So we wander into the elevator, and we go down the elevator, and we come, and it opens on the mezzanine or something, wherever we were. And he peers out. He says, oh, it's all clear. And then one of the fellows, Steve, the guy who helps us on the road, he peered out, and he said, oh, yeah, it's all clear. And we came out, and suddenly from just nowhere materialized 15 or 16 chicks, and just screamed their heads off and just boom down the hall. So we took off running. We didn't know where to go, and we ran down, and all of a sudden there we were in a ballroom, and it's a huge ballroom with 15 chicks. There was a look in their eye. So we saw this stair, and it looked like safety. So we ran up to the stairs, and just as we got to the landing on the top of the stairs, there was like another 15 at one end. So we ran the other way, off of this landing, and so there's like 15 coming up the stairs and 15 on the landing, and we're going down. And so we run down, and we're back by the elevator again. And just as we start to get in the elevator, about another 30 people come around the corner. So we come running down the stairs, away from the elevator. We figure we'll run down, and we'll run right into the lobby, which has got to be like 150 kids standing there. So everybody, you know, by this time is just pandemonium. We're panicked. You know, I'm ashen, and you know, Davy's short, so he can't run quite fast. So all three of us cram into one pie of a revolving door, and Mickey's in the other one, and we cram through the revolving door trying to get away, which we do, but I lost a few strands of hair. We run out to the safety of a limousine, and there's no limousine, and there we stand in the middle of Cleveland, Ohio, on a public street, and no limousine, 150 insane children. And not only that, we look down the street, and there's got to be 3,000 billion other kids wandering down, just getting out of the subway, so they're going to come to the concert. And they spot us. Well, that's, you know, so we run down the street, and here comes this just horde of people just running in back of us. So we run over, and there's this landing kind of a thing, this great big park, an open thing, and everybody's sort of ambling across. You know, there's got to be like 500 kids ambling across this thing, going to the concert, because the hotel's not too far away from the arena or whatever, and about 4 of them spot us, and of course that's a chain reaction. So now we've got roughly 1,000 kids in the Cleveland, Ohio streets, which we're running from, and no sanctuary. Everybody, you know, all of our people that take care of us on the road are just completely gone. We have no protection, and we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we keep dreaming things that might happen, but and all of a sudden we spot a riot control car. Hooray, riot control car. We jump in the car. You know, just without saying a word. These 2 policemen sitting having coffee, smoking a cigarette, jumping in the car, and what's going on? Where are these kids? What is this? What is the story here? And everything, you know, we're saying, looking through the screen, you know, and this guy whips out his billy club, you know, and does the police thing. About this time, all the kids converge in the car, and the car starts rocking like Noah's Ark, you know, and they're peeling out fenders and stuff like that. One guy, it's the Monkees, drive, honey, drive. So he gets in. And he takes off, and it's got to be like, you know, 50 kids still hanging on to the car. We get a little ways, and we drive up, and there's this other intersection full of kids walking over to the thing. And so in order to get to the intersection, and, you know, he's real sneaky about it. He turns on his siren and red light. And, of course, they immediately look at the car. Everybody realizes it's us. Everybody in the world is standing in this intersection. There's got to be 50 million people standing in this intersection. This poor traffic policeman, you know, he doesn't know what's going on. He's standing in just this pit of just people in the middle of Cleveland, Ohio intersection. So we get through this, but not without a great deal of difficulty. I mean, we ran over the traffic guy's foot, and so they took it down to the Central Police Station, which was a whole other thing. That had to be a flash, you know. There the 4 of us sat down there in the middle of the Cleveland, Ohio police station, and we really didn't need to be there for a lot of reasons. And so they keep coming up and they say, can we have pictures? Can we have autographs? Autographs? Are you kidding? What do you want? We'll buy you a new house. Anything, man. Well, it's striking up very good relations with the police. And then we get back in the car, and we drive down to the arena. They clear it through the arena, and we get through the door, and I walk out. You know, I'm a complete nervous wreck, you know. Ice Blue Secret does not work under those conditions. Just complete drain. There's nothing. So now I got to go on stage and do the same thing. I'm just completely wiped out.
The Great Monkey Escape. You'll hear it rebroadcast in its entirety tomorrow morning on the Robert W. Morgan Show, exclusively on Boss Radio.